Yeah, you have a lot of familiarity with their guys already, I'm sure, and certainly with Thomas too. But what do you see different in them this year? Are they doing individual guys better? Or?
Well, their backcourt of Bryce Alford and Isaac Hamilton are a terrific tandem. Both guys continue to grow as players. I don't believe that Bryce Alford gets enough credit for what he does on the court. I think sometimes because his dad's the coach that people temper the praise of really how outstanding of a player he really is. You put him in a different uniform or a different school and he's playing the exact same way. I think he would be put in a category of one of the nation's best guards, and that's certainly how we feel about him. Isaac Hamilton, you can make the argument, might be their overall best player. He does a lot of different things, very efficient. You watch him against North Carolina, I think it really said a lot about how good of a player, how great of an offensive player he is. He scored an easy 20-plus in that game against obviously a very talented North Carolina team. And again, that's the thing I keep going back to. These are guys, a team that's played already against some of the nation's best. They've been on a neutral setting in Maui. They've been across the country. They've played at Gonzaga like we have, and they've challenged themselves, and a lot of them are returning players. You look at guys who are in their second year, third year. They've been in a lot of games, a lot of conference games. So they're a formidable team. The one statistic that really stands out for me is the same one that stood out as we approached ASU, and that is, as good of an offensive rebounding team as ASU is, and I think they're very good and difficult to keep off the glass. UCLA is even better. They do it in a different way. Arizona State does it with guys coming in the game off the bench, a lot of them being that 6'7", tough-minded, athletic forward. UCLA does it with more two traditional post players. Thomas Welsh and Tony Parker combined for almost 8 offensive rebounds a game. Parker, more than 4 a game. So you look at that part of their offense, that's something that whoever plays UCLA, you're going to try to do a great job of taking as much of that away from them as you can. And I'll start with that. If they do that against us, it'll be a hard night. We have to be able to do a better job of keeping those two guys and their team off the glass. And if you do that, I think you give yourself a better chance to be successful.
Sean, before you got here, there was the UCLA-Arizona rivalry for a long time when it was here. Do you sense that could return? And in the East, it's usually gauged, the West is usually gauged by the success of Arizona and UCLA. Do you think that may return or come back, or the notoriety of the league?
Yeah, and we certainly look at it as a great rivalry. Even in the last couple of years, if you look at what both teams have done, whether it be a conference tournament championship, a regular season championship, advancing in the NCAA tournament. I know that's been in place, maybe not at the level of yesteryear, but college basketball is different now. When you think about so many elite players leaving early, the rivalries aren't, maybe as pronounced on a year-to-year basis as maybe they once were. I think that's everywhere. But I think it's going to be a big, big game. It'll have great meaning towards our conference, great meaning to each of our teams. And it's a difficult game to play on the other team's home court. I think historically that's been well represented, and that's because you're dealing with elite players, a very good coach, and a team that knows the importance of conference home games.
Did you get all you expected or even more out of Caleb the other night?
We did. 8 points, 5 rebounds in 15 minutes. Outstanding. Got to the foul line maybe 4 or 5 times. And, it didn't surprise me that he had 4 fouls. He hasn't played in a long time. And he made, I would say, 2 or 3 defensive plays in the game that I don't know if anybody else on our team could have made. He's very intelligent, physical, 7-foot moves, and you feel his presence. I think the other team feels his presence in the game. But we talked, Caleb and I, and nobody can judge Caleb right now by the standards as if he's back and great. You have to judge him by a progression of he has been out, not able to do anything for more than 5 weeks. He's just now starting to practice some. Got his feet wet in the first game in a long, long time. And what we hope is that progression continues, because the number one priority for us is Caleb's health. We don't want to get in a situation where a couple of weeks from now or a few games from now we have to shut him back down for a period of time because we went from 0 to 100.
So Caleb played 15 at ASU. I mean, do you expect to bring him off the bench in the same role, or has that not been determined yet still?
Yeah, we don't have like a predetermined amount, but I would say that, you know, we're going to still bring him off the bench right now. He just doesn't have enough time spent with our team and enough information, both him and us, that everything is going to be 100% fine for the long haul. You know, we worry about him every day, and we want to be very careful in these first couple of weeks of activity, that we want to monitor how he feels, and we don't want to do anything unnecessarily to cause additional stress in a time where we don't have to. So with that, I think that role makes sense.
Yeah.